Hello ladies and gentle peeps, Game Chanel here, and today I'm gonna present to you my Orbital Strike Heavy Bowgun build. This build is a little bit different from my usual builds because it's not, focusing so much on a high amount of DPS. Rather, it's a fun build. It can be really powerful, don't underestimate it. So in the right hands against the right monster, this one can be super good. And you'll see I'm actually gonna show you some gameplay at the end where I fight a tempered Nergigante with a group of strangers, and we do it in less than 5 minutes, so it is definitely a good build. However, you want to avoid monsters like Odogaron and in general like fast and small monsters with this build, and you'll see why in a second. Also, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you who subscribed, because as of last week, we had 100 subscribers. So last Friday, we had 100 subscribers, which was also already pretty insane to me. But now we are at like 350 and still growing. So we gained another 250 subscribers in a week. And guys, you are killing it. Like, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I'm really glad you enjoy my content. Um, and as I said, as soon as we get to 1,000, there will be a small giveaway. Not sure if I'm gonna do like a bunch of small gift cards so a lot of you can win, or one gift card with a larger amount. We'll figure this out down the road. But yeah. In addition to that, I want to quickly mention that the volume issue that a lot of you have been complaining about, especially from the hunting horn build, I know, blah blah blah. It's very quiet, and I realize that. I apologize. But I ordered a new headset, so that should arrive next week, and as of then, we should not have any volume issues anymore. And lastly, I also want to say, if you guys are interested in a video where I show and explain step by step how I create my builds, maybe you guys want to see something like that, let me know in the comments down below, because I feel like if you have an understanding on how to start to create a build, like where to go to, maybe you can come up with some amazing builds yourself and share them, in the comments of my videos. I would be more than curious to know what you can come up with. So if you're interested in a step-by-step guide on how I create my builds, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to do that for you. But without further ado, let's get into it. Usually I start out by showing you the armor and the skills first, but I actually, designed this build around the Sora Magdaros gun, and the reason why I chose this one is because it has a very higher base attack of 315. It does have negative affinity, but cluster bombs, which we are using, because this gun has access to cluster bombs level 3, they are not affected by affinity at all. So that at least is to my testing. So yeah, we don't really care about affinity. It also has access to sleep, which I find very useful, to dragon ammo depending on the enemy, wyvern, and then piercing level 3 if we need to. So yeah, so that's the reason why I chose this one. There are two more guns that have access to cluster bombs level 2, one being the Dodogama one, and then the other one is the Xenojiva one. However, both of them do have an attack, a base attack of 255, so that is a lot lower than the Zoromagdaros one. And this one only has one augmentation slot, and the Dodogama has two augmentation slots, but again, the attack is much slower, so that's lower. That's why I chose the Zoromagdaros one. And then it also has two augmentation slots, so just to show you what I augmented it, I did a slot augmentation because I wanted an additional slot, and I also did an attack increase. The attack increase is very small. It goes up by, I think, 8 attack points, so that's not that much. But if you wanted to, and you say you don't need the slot, you can go ahead and do 2 attack increases. It's totally up to you here what you're gonna do. I would just say stay away from the affinity, because for this particular build, you don't really need affinity, at least not according to my testing. And speaking of testing, I tried 2 more things out. So even though the heavy bowgun says it has no element, the elementalist jewel here doesn't actually increase the attack. So not according to my testing. I did the cluster bomb shot with the jewel and without it, and the damage numbers were exactly the same. And the same is true for the bomber jewel. So I was running 3 levels of bomber actually, and I tried the cluster bomb and it still showed me the same amount of attack. So again, cluster bomb is not affected by explosive power and not affected by the elemental's jewel. Alright, so I'm gonna go through my armor real quick for time reasons. We are starting with the Doba Helm, that gets us 1 level of ammo up, and then I slotted in a Medicine Jewel for recovery up for an additional 10% health regeneration whenever we get healed. Then we have the Doba Mel Beta, that gives us 2 levels of attack boost, and I slotted in the Brace Jewel for flinch free. Now that prevents knockbacks, so friendly team members, when they hit us accidentally, they don't knock us back. Also, some monster, like weak monster attacks, don't knock us back, so that's helpful. Eventually, we want to switch this one out for evade extender decoration. I don't have that yet, but eventually you want to have an evade extender decoration in here. We would have the Nergigante Embrace Alpha next. There is no decoration slot, so I can't show you, but basically they have 2 levels of Agitator and 1 level of attack boost. Then we have the Valhassa Coil Beta, that gets us 1 level of peak performance. It has 2 decoration slots, so I put in 2 levels of attack boost in here. Then we have the Kushala Cruise, that gives us Evade Extender level 2. Again, we want to have it at level 3 because we don't really have a lot of ways to, get out of the fight. We're really slow with the heavy bowgun, so evading is the best way, to, for one, catch up with a monster, but also to get out of the way if there's a big attack incoming. I am running the shield perks on the heavy bowgun. You can basically use whatever you want, really, it doesn't matter. I'm using the shield just to block some of the damage, sometimes at least, when I don't evade. But yeah, usually I try to evade whenever possible. And yeah, as I said, peak performance, we have a flawless jewel in here that gets us one additional level. And then lastly, we have also another peak performance decoration in the gun, plus an additional recovery up decoration. So ultimately, we are looking at the following skills. So in total, we're looking at attack boost level 5, and that increases our attack by plus 15. Keep in mind that the heavy bowgun has a multiplier, a damage multiplier, or attack multiplier of 1.5, meaning for every 1 point of attack that we get from our armor or a skill, we actually have to multiply it by 1.5 for the heavy bowgun. So in total, we gain an additional 22.5 points of attack here. The plus 5% affinity, we couldn't care less about that because as far as my testing is concerned, cluster bombs are not affected by affinity. I did the testing on like an 80 or 85% affinity build, and whenever I shot a cluster bomb, they always showed me the same number. They never critted once, so I don't think they are actually affected by affinity at all. Then we have ammo up level 3, so that way we have 2 cluster bombs instead of 1. Again, for DPS reasons, I'm using this. You could switch it out if you really wanted to, and you can put like more attack in here. However, I don't think it's worth it because yes, you would do 1 cluster bomb that does more damage, but then again you have to reload, that it takes away from your DPS and so on and so forth. So rather go ahead and use the ammo up here. I get 1 level from the Dober Helm and then 2 levels from the Awakening Charm that I'm running. Next, I have peak performance level 3. Now that increases our attack by plus 20 when the health is full. Again, multiply it by 1.5, so it actually increases our attack by 30. We also have recovery up, so that way whenever we heal or use like a potion, mega potion, heal powder, it increases the health that we recover by 20%. And that is important because we always want to have peak performance up, and to have that going, we need full health. Then we have Agitator level 2. Now we are only interested in the attack that we gain whenever the monster becomes enraged. That is usually about 80% of the fight, so whenever the monster, roars, it becomes enraged. So about 80% of the fight, sometimes more, you actually have this active. Again, the affinity we don't care about. And then we have Evade Extender level 2. Again, ultimately we want to switch out the flinch free decoration and put in an Evade Extender decoration to get this to level 3 to greatly extend our evasion distance. This is just for the time being as a placeholder. So let's look at the damage numbers real quick. As you can see, when you shoot the cluster bomb, you have this reticle. It goes really far, all the way to the barrel over there. So you can shoot from quite a ways away. When it's red, you're basically hitting the monster or, the target. We have 2 shots in our clip, as I said, because of the element up, so we can shoot twice. And every explosion does 77 damage, and it does 5 explosions in general, like in total. So we currently have 398 attack. Now keep in mind, I do not have Agitator active because there is no monster that's currently enraged, obviously, since I'm in a training area. Also, I haven't eaten any food buff, like no attack up large like you would usually do. I haven't used a demon drug, I haven't used demon powder, none of that. So when we actually do that, and you will see in the gameplay against Nergigante, we actually hit in the low 80s for every explosion. So the damage goes up, and obviously if you multiply, 5 explosions times 80, let's just do 80 for math reasons, we are hitting the monster for 400 damage. That's actually quite a lot, especially if you consider that you can fire 2 shots pretty quickly. Like, I'm shooting as fast as I can, so it's like 400, 400, so we basically just did 800 in that amount of time. And then obviously the reloading takes a little longer, but basically it's not that bad, and it hits really hard. So when you hunt by yourself, there's a good chance, if you hit all of these, there's a good chance that you actually kill the monster with all 16 shots that we have. And speaking of 16 shots, let me show you what's also really important about this build. So this is my normal loadout that I bring with me with this particular build. Now there's nothing fancy or special about here. Down here we have all the ammo, or most of the ammo that we can use. Now what's really important about this, there's only 4 things that you really need. Number 1 being the Dragonfell Berry, because we only have 3 dragon ammo with us, but sometimes this dragon ammo is really useful against a particular monster, so we use it quite a bit. So we can carry 3 already made, and then with these 10 we can craft an additional 10 dragon ammo if we need to. Next we have the Farcaster, and that is pretty important because if we run out of ammo and the monster is not even close to being finished off, then we need this to get back into camp and restock our ammo. Now this will get you out of the fight and to the closest camp once you use it. You can only carry one with you, but as soon as you refill, obviously you have another one. So very important piece of equipment. And then we have the bomb berries, and the reason why we have those is because we have cluster bomb 3, we have 3 in our inventory, and that's the max that you can have already crafted. We also have 3 cluster bombs level 1, and again that's the maximum you can carry in your inventory already made. However, out of bomb berries you can make cluster bomb 1s, and out of cluster bomb 1 combined with gunpowder level 3 you can make cluster bomb 3. So that's the reason why we carry these 2 items with us. So in total we can make 16 cluster bombs 3, and then if that didn't finish the job, then we can still use 3 cluster bombs 2 that we can carry with us. Now sometimes that finishes the job, sometimes it doesn't. If it's close, you can go ahead and use the pierce ammo. We still do a fair amount of damage with the pierce ammo actually, so that's a good second. You can also use obviously paralysis and like whatever, a poison, all of that. As I said, the dragon ammo is pretty good against very long, very big monsters. I like it a lot. Obviously, wyvern ammo, we do a fair amount of damage with the wyvern ammo. Actually, let me go ahead and show you that real quick. I think we do roughly around 200, probably with all the buffs, more than 200 damage. So let's take a quick look. Yeah, a little over 200 with the 40, and then the 200 or 198. But yeah, so that's the inventory that I carry with me. So let me go ahead and show you my rotation real quick when I am fighting a monster. Now you can use this set playing alone or in a group. However, keep 2 things in mind. Number 1, if you're playing alone, the monster is going to focus you a lot more, and since cluster bomb is not something that is a really, it's a really fast attack, you have to time it carefully. So you usually want to use it when the monster is not focusing you, but your Palico, maybe use the Palico gadget that gets the attention of the monster more often. I think it's called like Shield Spire or something, can't remember, but you can use that if you're playing this alone. If you're playing in a group, now obviously you have less attention from the monster because it's divided by 4 players. However, keep in mind that when you do the cluster bomb attack and you have a lot of melee characters in your group, they can actually be interrupted from their attack. So usually the set is better in like a group where you have 2 or 3 ranged attackers, maybe even all 4 of you are ranged attackers, and not a lot of melee. However, you can definitely use it in a melee group. It's just people have to watch out a little bit more where they position themselves, and you also have to watch out where you're shooting the monster, because you don't want to be the jerk that interrupts everyone in the group, because I've been there. It's really, really annoying, so keep that in mind. But let's go into the rotation. So when I start a fight, I usually go to the sleep ammo 2. We have 8 shots, but they're more than enough to put every monster to sleep, in my opinion. I never had a monster that didn't go to sleep after 4 or even 8 shots. So once the monster is asleep, you want to put it away, and then you go ahead and use the mega barrels. Now, obviously, if you're in a group of 4 people and everyone does that, now this is a lot of damage that you're going to do. You want to use the demon powder, and then you want to go ahead and load in the special ammo. Also, actually, before I do that, I'm gonna put on, okay, you would put on the Rocksteady Mantle, and you also want to place down your health booster because you want to have full health, just so you can make sure you have peak performance on while you do this. Now, let's go ahead and shoot the target. And then it does this. Alright, so, and then we go right ahead, we switch to Cluster Bomb level 3, and we stand in our heal as long as we can, and then we start firing right away. As you can see, we do 80 now because of the Demon Powder. So, and then here's the important part. Now, obviously, in a training area, you don't lose the ammo that you use, but imagine I would be down to 1 shot now from the Cluster Bomb. So, and you can see on the left side it says reload. So before we reload, or we can actually reload, and while we do that, we want to recraft 3 cluster bombs, or we want to recraft the maximum amount here, cluster bomb level 3, and right after we want to recraft cluster bomb level 1 all the way to the maximum. So you want to see a 3 here and a 3 here. And basically the reason why we do that after every time we shoot twice is because if we were to shoot twice, then reload 1 shot. Now obviously we only have half a clip there, so that already is a loss of DPS. But also if we were to shoot the last shot, a problem that we have is now cluster bomb level 3 is not in here anymore. So you would actually switch to probably paralysis at that point, and then you would recraft it. That takes away some time and some DPS. So after every 2 shots that you fire, like this, you want to go ahead and recraft it. So due to our peak performance skill, we obviously always want to have full health. So that's the reason why I have the health boost right here. And you should always be, close to the mega potion so you can heal yourself up. Again, I have recovery up twice, or heal myself all the way to the end sometimes with only 1 mega potion instead of 2, which would take a lot more time to drink 2. You could switch that out, by the way, if you really wanted to. You can go ahead and, sorry, that's the wrong one. You can go ahead and switch the medicine jewel into gobbler jewels right here. You can go ahead and use these because they increase your item use speed. So you can go ahead and do that. This way you drink the potions a lot faster. So if you even need to, you can drink 2 in a really short amount of time. It's personal preference. Absolutely, you can choose whatever you want. So in a second here, I'm going to show you some gameplay. Again, we're fighting a tempered Nergigante with a group of strangers. In total, the fight lasts about a little under 4 minutes, I want to say. I opened the logbook at the end and it says 5 minutes and like a couple seconds. But I think that includes the time that we needed to, buff up and go to Nergigante and all of that. So if you stop the video and you can time it, I think it's actually a little bit under 4 minutes. There is something that appears to be a cut, but in fact the PlayStation sometimes stops recording for 2-3 seconds. I don't know why it does that. It's super annoying. I just let you know ahead of time. But yeah, so in total I think it's somewhere around 4 minutes. I think that's pretty fast for the tempered Nergigante, at least for a group of strangers. Obviously it can be done faster, but yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe consider subscribing. And yeah, I hope I catch you all in the next video.